What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's me, Mikey Pipes. Thank you so much for tuning in. In this video, I'm going on a service call. I've been servicing this homeowner for about 8-10 years or so, maintaining their central air conditioning and central heating furnaces, Lennox systems. But on this service call, we have a no hot water issue. He has an A.O. Smith. He sent me a picture of it. Appears to be a low boy A.O. Smith water heater, and he's got no hot water. The water heater is 8 years old, and we've never serviced this water heater in the past. Probably it's a pilot out. Maybe it's a pilot generator, also known as a thermal pile. Hopefully it's not a gas valve, and hopefully it doesn't need a brand new tank because it's Friday, it's 10 o'clock, and I want to get home. You know how it is, guys. All right, let's get rolling. Smash that thumbs up button, and please check out Mikey Pipes Philanthropy YouTube channel. It's a 501c3 IRS recognized organization, nonprofit organization that I set up to help those who can't afford, plumbing and heating repairs in their home. We're giving back to the community, and together we're going to make the trades great again. Thank you very much. Good morning, sir. It's a little windy. I gotta hold on to the door. So, you got solar panels in your roof, huh?
I got it last February.
So you know what you're gonna have to do next. You have to put in heat pumps.
Okay.
Their heat pumps are high efficient air conditioning systems that also produce heat.
Oh.
So you don't use gas.
Oh.
You got no hot water, huh?
Yeah, we were away for about a week.
Vacation?
Yeah.
Very nice. Go anywhere exciting?
Houston.
Houston, warmer, right?
Yeah, it was really warm.
So you came home to no hot water? That sucks.
I don't know if it was just filled with water and then we didn't even notice it at first, but...
When you just filled with water?
But, yeah, yesterday we noticed it was like slowly, like getting colder and colder, and then
Is there a light?
this morning I turned it.
Is there a light in here? No. No, there isn't. There's a smoke detector in here, but no light. All right, you got this low boy. So let me, I'll give you some education. You can't see anything right now because there's no light in here, right? But you see this white box?
Yes.
There's normally a light right, it'd be flashing right here, but there's no light right now, right? So a couple things to look out for. Let's keep that light right there. So there's a couple things to look out for, okay, when there's no light. We could try relighting the pilot right away, but I'm going to do something first. I'm going to take this cover off, right, and I'm going to see these wires, right, with these wires, these two red wires here, goes to what we call a high temperature limit switch, or it's kind of like a safety switch. If it senses something's not right now and it's too hot in there, it's going to trip out, and the only way to get the pilot re-going is by pushing it in. So if I push this in, I hear a little click, we know we got a problem. Nope. Normally you hear like a little faint click, like you reset a circuit breaker, like a little faint click. So now that we know that is good, here's the gas valve right here. Right now, we're gonna make note that right now it's set to hot. There's a little lever right here, a little indentation in the knob, and it's pointing to hot. I'm gonna turn this. Now there are instructions right here, lighting instructions. These lighting instructions, I kid you not, are written by very, very well-paid attorneys. You want to know why? Because it's called A.O. Smith, and it's not called Mr. O. And if there wasn't these kind of instructions there, and if you didn't, and you try to relight this and you blew yourself up, your family's water heater would be called Mr. O, because you'd be owning the company. All right, so we're going to follow those directions, but and simply we're going to turn this to where it says pilot. Now we have on this is a Honeywell gas control valve. This is different than some older ones which have like a pilot or a thermocouple, right? This has wires and stuff that you don't normally see on older water heaters. This is what we now see on newer systems, but we have off, pilot, vac, which is short for vacation, which you were on, but you didn't put it there.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, to save energy. Right? Low, hot, then A, B, C, and very hot. Very hot is equivalent to 140 degrees or above. Scalding hazard. If you had little kids in here, I wouldn't put it there. But if you like it hot, I would have it higher. So I'm going to put this thing to where it says pilot, and when it's on pilot, I can push this in. You notice if I put it somewhere else, it doesn't go in. So only on Pilot I can depress this. Right, and I'm going to depress this, and while I'm depressing this, I'm going to hit this little button right here a few times. This little clicking action is lighting a piezo igniter, or a little spark igniter, inside there. Where's that little blue flame? There's a blue flame, and I'm going to put the flame. Let me turn this off actually for a second. The Pilot's going to go out. There's that little flame right there. Okay, flame is out. I'm putting it back to Pilot, and pushing it down, and see a little spark?
Yeah.
A little blue thing, that's the Pilot. Okay, I'm going to hold this down, and this light is going to eventually flash. Right now it's solid because that Pilot, the flame from the Pilot was heating what we call a Pilot generator, or kind of like a PV cell on your roof, right? The sun heats, is sending energy to that cell on the roof, and it gives you energy. The same way, like the flame is heating this piece that's sitting in the flame, and it gives this gas valve energy. And this should normally be flashing. I'm going to let go of this black knob, and the Pilot should stay on. Let's see, back in there again. There's the Pilot. I let go of the knob, it went out. So I got to do this again. I may have to wait for the light to go out.
It's definitely less than 10 minutes.
All right, so where did that flame go? The flame. Where are you? Anyway, now the light is flashing, right? See that flash? We're going to let this go and turn it back to hot. And now we have ignition. See? Easy peasy. Your water heater was manufactured on the 7th day of February in 2014. This A.O. Smith Lowboy water heater is 50 gallons. And some reasons why this could go out. You could have had a wind come down, like high amount of wind come down the chimney and down the exhaust. It can blow that out. Depends on how. Listen, it sounds far-fetched, but it does happen. It's rare, but it does happen. What's nice about these Honeywell valves is that it tells you status codes. So let's say, for example, that part, what we call the Pilot generator or thermal pile. That's what we call it technically, right? Let's say it's getting worn and it's reaching the end of its life. Well, see this flash? It's flashing one time, right? Well, on this status light code manual, little label here, one flash is normal operation. If that Pilot generator was wearing down, 2 flashes means thermal pile voltage low. That could be, a dirty pilot burner. It could be, the Pilot generator is getting worn, is going bad. And then there's other things here, like 3 flashes, 4, 5, and 6, and so forth, right? But normally, like if I was flashing 2 right now, that means that I need to change that Pilot generator, which means I have to replace the whole burner assembly, which is this whole tray thing. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to, if it happens again, to do that. Now, there is also one other explanation as it going out. Let's say, now you know how to do this, right?
You just put it in Pilot. And
You're pushing that down, and then you push it down a few times, and you'll wait till it's to flash. If it's really, really quiet, you'll actually hear the Pilot light. When you hit that spark, you hear the little Pilot, because it's a little, you'll hear that flame in there. It depends how good you're hearing it, but if it's quiet, you'll hear it. But if it keeps going out, generally it's the whole thermal, the Pilot generator, the thermal pile. But every so often, it's the gas valve, which is this piece. Right now, there's no indication that anything is wrong, other than maybe it was just a fluke wind, affected the Pilot and it blew it out.
It's weird because, we've been through a lot of
I hear you, but it's like the perfect storm. Seriously, it's like everything has to be perfect. If there was like a wind got in just a certain angle in the house, and it does happen. It's very, very rare. Like usually, I've been coming here for probably 10 years. I've never had to deal with your water heater before. I've dealt with the furnace before, right? The furnace upstairs, but we never dealt with the water heater before, right? So just keep that in mind. Now you know how to light it, and if you ever forget, the lighting instructions are right there. All right. You have one here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Right there. Okay. So, to answer your question, you watch these DIY, maybe on YouTube, on Google, things like that. They say, and also another thing to keep in, we're going to check this in a second. See how it's melted there? This is solid. This has been melted on both sides. That means exhaust gases were at one point coming into the basement. And those exhaust gases are hot. That's why this is a steel pipe, which you don't want to touch because it's hot. And if the exhaust gases are coming out of this diverter in here, you're gonna melt those little plastic pieces. So make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector. Right? Okay, so for the DIY stuff, right? Lighting a pilot, very simple to do, right? It only requires generally your fingers and a brain. Another DIY thing, or you can hire a plumber just like me, for example, flushing and also changing the anode rods. There's an anode rod that's in right here, right? That is typically about 3 feet long, 36 and 42 inches long. It screws into the top of the tank, and it's called a sacrificial anode rod. What it is, it's made of magnesium in most cases, and the minerals or the stuff that's in the water, right, will want to attack that magnesium rod first instead of the steel tank. And generally you change that every 3 years. Or let's say you replace the water heater 3 years from now, or 3 years from the date you change that water heater, you're going to check that anode rod. Either you or a plumber is going to check that, and if it's worn out, you replace it, because you're extending the life of the water heater. If you change that anode rod, you'll get more life of the water heater because the tank is not going to be eaten away by the water.
So shouldn't it be time for?
Yes. Would you like me to? Would you want me to do that?
I mean, you're here, so.
Yep. Let's see if I can even get this little thing out of there. Okay. We may be able to do it. Okay. We can do it. All right. Let's change an anode rod. First thing, gas valve is set to pilot. You can also turn it to off. Main shut-off valve, cold water in. Water supply is off. Yeah, oh, that's an old tag too. Okay, that's off. We're gonna take our garden hose or wash machine hose into a bucket, and I am gonna take a Phillip bit and loosen up or open up the valve. Okay. We don't need to drain the entire tank, but we do need to take some water out of it. And if you're noticing, nothing's coming out of it because it's airlock. So I'm gonna crack open this valve a little bit. Right? Just to get it going. Right? Because you also could have a lot of debris at the bottom of it, especially if you don't drain this or flush it out every year. It's a good idea to flush out your water heaters every 12 months. If it's been more than 12 months, like a couple of years or several years, don't bother doing it. And I'm not doing it either right now. I'm just taking a little bit of water out of the water heater, so when I take that out, water's not pouring out of this thing. You also hold it too? Yeah, of course. Cool. All right. So we have water draining out of the bottom. Let's see if this comes out. There you go. So I cracked it. You can also use an impact wrench, to take this out. So I'm gonna keep doing this until it's out. Easy peasy. Oh, Galveston, Texas? Yeah. I hear it's nice there.
But after that, it's like we've been there so many times. We don't usually do stuff in Houston.
Okay.
Like,
you want to see what your anode rod looks like? Should I show you what the new one looks like?
Yeah.
You want to see that first? Or you want to see it after? You know, I'll show you it after. So here is the anode rod.
Ooh, yuck.
All right, and as you can see,
Yuck. Oh, God.
there that is.
Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that gross? Right? But this is the sacrificial anode rod, right? The water and the minerals and the composition of the water, it wants to attack the steel tank, right? But instead it goes for this first. So let me show you what the new one looks like. So you know what the old one looks like. You ready? Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Okay, open your eyes.
Oh, boy.
All right?
This thing is like almost... This is like almost destroyed, right?
Yeah.
At this point.
See? It's the sacrificial anode rod. Now you can see there's a little piece of steel wire in there that's basically holding it all together, but it's just magnesium hanging out on a rod that normally looks like this. And its job is to be sacrificed. Now, a lot of cases you don't have, you have restricted. You see here's your top of your water heater. You got some ductwork here. You got a lot of stuff going on in here. I don't even know if this is going to fit in there. But they do make ones that are a lot more expensive that are hinged. Or they come in like little fragments, like sections, and you can wiggle them in there. So hopefully we'll be able to get this in before I even try. Let's just see if it actually will fit in there. And let's see if we can go this way with it. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll try something. Let's see if I can go this way with it. There we go. It goes right in there. So let's put some pipe dope on this and drop into the tank. So we got lucky there, but a lot of cases, you know, this is a low boy. If this was a 50-gallon regular, it's about this tall, so it's about another 1.5 feet taller. There's no way you're getting a regular anode rod in there. And this is why New York plumbers don't change anode rods. Because you'd have no room. You have to disconnect the piping and tilt the water heater and then get it out, or get a fragmented one. So that's how. All right, so I got a little bit of dope here. I'm using Megalock. This is by Hercules. You can also use Pro Dope. I would not recommend using Teflon tape. I've been told that it'll interfere with the electrical conductivity or continuity of the tank to the water to this. It makes no sense because there's nothing electric about this other than a millivolt charge coming out of the pilot burner. But there that is. And before we forget, let's turn off that valve. Yeah. Listen, realistically, you're going to get 15 years typically. You know, like National Grid says, you know, sends out these flyers, average lifetime is 7 to 15 years. 7's on the very, very low side. Don't get me wrong, I've seen indirect water heaters, which is a different type of water heater, leak in a few years. That's just a defect, but 15 years you should get out of a water heater. All right, let's tighten this up with the breaker bar. Now that the anode rod is back in place, we'll open up the water slowly at first. And we'll check for any leaks at that connection. Filling back up the tank. We only lost about 4 gallons of water. And make sure we're good there. Yep, it's filled back up again. And she is dry. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it educational and maybe you learned something new today, because if you asked me a year ago, how many anode rods have I replaced in my plumbing career? The answer was 0. But more recently, in the past year, we've been changing them out. We're still not doing them that frequently, and honestly, keeping it real, he brought up DIY, YouTube maintenance, things like that, and a little light went off in my head. Again, because we're not accustomed to doing them, but we should. If you're in the trades, you're plumbing or HVAC in the trades, get in the habit of just mentioning it, right? Do it, because you're strengthening the relationship with your customers, because they'll feel, and this is facts, right? They'll feel that you have their best interest in heart. And yes, we do, right? I don't want to change out this water heater. It's Friday, 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to change out his water heater, right? Because it could have been that kind of service call, which could have been prevented if it was leaking, if the anode rods were changed more frequently. You saw that anode rod. It's 8 years old. It's pretty bad shape, right? And oh my God, you should have saw the look on his face. But he also handed me a $50 tip when I walked out the door, which I tried to decline because I'm the owner of the company. I don't really like to take tips, but if they sense you went above and beyond your job and their expectations, they generally will reward you with their gratuity. If you're a DIY guy, a homeowner, this is not something that I suggest you take on unless you have the ability or the means, or you have a friend who's a plumber. Because God forbid something goes wrong, you need to replace that water heater in an emergency. I don't suggest you do this on a weekend or a holiday. Do this in the morning, because something goes wrong. You got to pick up the phone, call a plumber. At least you can not pay an arm and a leg for the plumber to take care of the rest. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is a gas-fired water heater, right? If you have an indirect fired water heater, which is a type of water heater that's hooked up to a boiler and the boiler heats the water heater, I have a video on that as well, how to change the anode rod and do service on that as well. Check it out. There's links in the description box down below. Thank you. Be well. God bless. Stay safe.